Been a while since we've seen this on the channel, so let's give an update on where it's at and what we're doing. All right, thanks for tuning in this Sunday, Trendsetters. We are going to go over the RX4 as well as the RX7 and just where we're at with both of those beasts. Now, RX4, not a hell of a lot's gone on, to be honest. What I have done is some more panel repair stuff, so haven't ground this one down, but I've done that one right there, and I did some paint stripper just to see how bad it was here, and it's not actually too bad. And this door, on the other hand, is even better. It's near on immaculate, so that is killer. Now the rear guard, on the other hand, has got a fair bit of bog in it, but I mean, these are panels from, you know, a 1970s, early 70s to late 70s sort of car, so it's to be expected. With a closer look here, it's not too bad. I mean, I'm going to have to only put this back in anyway, but it only looks like a pretty light skim in that too. So I'll get rid of all of this and yeah, I'll start from scratch again. So what I'll probably end up doing is I might paint strip the doors and the front guards and that. Everything that I'm actually going to take off the car and probably paint separately on stands or something, I'll probably paint strip them all to make sure they're all, there's nothing hiding underneath. You don't know what's hiding on some of these scratches and that, so I'll just take those back to bare metal and then do all the million steps that I need to do to paint this thing. Right, so back to the rear of the car, and remember I mounted the radiator here, and we're gonna have the Davies Craig pump mounted right here. Now, you never know who's watching your sort of stuff when you make videos and post stuff on Instagram and whatnot. I got a message from Davies Craig saying the way you've mounted that pump isn't how we would recommend it. Have you read the instructions? And I said, read the instructions. I'm a man. I don't read instructions. What's this you talk about? So essentially, the inlet of the Davies Craig water pump is in the middle of the pump. Let me just see where the pump is. So this is the Davies Craig water pump. You can see here, this is the inlet, that's the outlet. Now, I was going to be mounting it like that essentially in the car. What Davies Craig said is that if it's mounted like this or like this, those are the two definitely no ways to do it. And the reason is because it can cavitate the water, which means that it will damage the seal and the bearing in it essentially. So they said you can mount it this way, this way, this way, or that way. Just hit myself on the head with that. But if you mount it this way or this way, it can lead to some type of damage. So basically, any other way except having the inlet over a vertical, perfectly vertical plane is no good. So I can pretty easily get a 45-degree adapter, I think, which instead of mounting it that way, we'll mount it this way, I think, in the end, something like that. So yeah, so either way, we'll just get some other fittings from Raceworks, a couple of adapters in, and that should be all good to go. Right, so also on the old RX4, you know, we were trying to get the HVAC stuff all sorted out. What I did get was some absolutely factory heater controls, just in case I want to do that. Now, what I'm probably going to do is, I think it's Motorsports 3D or something. It's I think they're the ones, but they make like a 3D printed dash for this, and then you could put your Motec, Haltech, whatever, Microtech dash in where the factory dash would be. And I don't have the dash at all. I don't have any factory dash. So I'm probably going to get something like that, and then I'll work out what dash I use. I don't know if if it's sitting around here. Definitely got lots of spare parts, but yeah, I don't know where it is, some of it. But I've got the old Microtech 3.5-inch dash, one of the OG dashes and that, and I'm probably just going to use that for a fair while to keep costs down, to get the thing on the road and that, because I can't remember how much the Haltech one is, but I've got the Microtech one, so that means it will be zero. So that's better than over $1,000 to get the car running. So get that in. Also picked up this lovely rear seat in fantastic condition, as you can see. Needs a little bit needs a little bit of work, maybe. Might have to send that one off to the trimmers and that, but I don't know. I may just get some more padding to firm it up, and then I might just put a decent seat cover over it, like a you know, just a black seat cover or a grey seat cover or something. And then I don't have the one that sits up the back, so yeah, that's going to be hard. All this stuff's hard to find. So even though this didn't have a back, I just grabbed this because it's so hard to find stuff. I got some more air vents and things in there. I think that's where the stereo goes or something, surround. I got another glove box because my glove box is completely wrecked. So whatever, that's that. But slowly, I think getting all the pieces I sort of need to get. I've got some other stuff to go in here too. So lo and behold, perfect fit there. These are VS calipers, and this line from Protex fits like factory. So I will be getting onto it shortly, but essentially, in terms of stuff that needs to be done, will be like the braking and suspension stuff, because all that stuff is absolutely ripped apart in that. So I've got the Protex rotors and the brake shoes and the wheel cylinders and some pads for the fronts as well. There's some ultra ceramic ones, so that'll be really good. Also got some stuff from Road Safe here too, to replace all the I think the ball joints and idler arms and stuff like that too, because no doubt they are also completely flogged. I've used the Protex rotors and pads on just about everything. I think the Commodore has them up the front. This thing has them. My 626 had them. I've put them on my wife's car before. As you can see, there's another one there. My master cylinder that will be going on this car as well is Protex. The master cylinder, the brake master cylinder is on this thing, also Protex. So they make heaps and heaps and heaps of basically brake components, anything to do with like braking and yeah, whether that be master cylinders or brake cylinders or drums or whatever and that. They make them. So and they've got a really killer online catalog thing where you just put in, you make model, year of the car, whatever, and it'll spit out everything basically. So you can just roll on down to Bursons, etc., and just say, order all of that, thanks. And that's what I did. So super easy to use. Don't have much more to report on that at the moment. So let's switch our focus to this thing. Right, so the two major things that come out of the RX-7 when I raced it the other week were, obviously the tune-up was not great, but I knew it wasn't going to be, so we've moved in the right direction for that. The other one was boost control was a bit iffy, and the third was I was a bit uncomfortable with how hot the transmission temperatures were getting up to. So first things first, tune-up, whatever, that'll get there, that's just time. Second thing, boost controller. I took the decrease solenoid out and I found the tiniest, almost like a human hair of a little, like a metal shaving in that trapped in there. And these decrease solenoids, it's not like they pop up like this. They move like very small amounts. I'm talking like tenths of millimeters is how much they actually move. So a little piece of swarf caught in it means it's basically completely open. And that's why when the increase solenoid was open, essentially the decrease solenoid was open too. So all my dome pressure was just being vented straight out the decrease solenoid, even though it wasn't being pulsed. So that's all fixed now. I've checked it, tested it, bang. I've been able to hold 40 PSI on the dome, no problems now. So that's done. Trans temp, I dumped my transmission fluid and it's a bit, so I can smell that it's been hot. It's not burnt smell, like it's not overly hot. There's no shrapnel in it. There's not even any discoloration. There was nothing on the sump plug or anything. And this transmission is still like fresh. So you'd expect to see some stuff on there, but there was basically nothing on there. And yeah, the trans just got too hot. So I'll show you the trans cooler that I was using. So this was the trans cooler I was originally using. It's like a double stacked, double row sort of thing. And it used to have a fan mounted here and that worked killer. I don't remember seeing over like 70 degrees Celsius trans temps ever with that, to the point where I thought my trans temp gauge was like not reading right or something, or in the wrong place. But what I've found out is I got one of these big bad boys, and you know, this said 40,000 GVM rated, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I think this would work absolutely incredible at the front of a car. But where I've got it mounted, and you'll see, you see where I've got the other one mounted in a second, this big, long and narrow thing, and I couldn't get the fan really on there very well. It just didn't work where I've got it located. So let's have a look at the new one that I've just put in. So the new one I've got is just down here, and you can see, yeah, it's basically an oil cooler, essentially. It's like a 30 row or something oil cooler with -10 outlets or whatever, but and the fan sits perfectly underneath it, so it's pretty much replicating that old double row one and that, and it's got the little fan underneath. Just take a quick look under there, you'll see there it is. So you can see that's much thicker than the one it's replacing. It's probably double the thickness. Overall, if you were to, basically, if you were to snap this cooler in half and stack it on top of each other, it's probably exactly the same, but because of where it is situated at the back of the car underneath, it doesn't get, it doesn't really get any airflow from the vehicle and that, all the airflow's underneath the car and out again. So the fan and being able to pull all the air through that core is super critical. So that's okay. I've just destroyed a bit of ATF, but luckily for me, another announcement that I'm really proud of is that I got a message back from Penrite during the week, and they said I've been accepted as a brand ambassador for 2023. So thank you, Penrite. Always been a massive supporter of Penrite and their oils. I've used their stuff now for well over 20 years, even before they started supporting my racing endeavours. So thank you very much to Penrite, and always more than keen and happy to support any Australian company and Australian brands where possible. So here's our sort of thing for the RX-7, and if you have a look here, there's, that's an Australian company, Australian company, of course, Australian company, Australian, and my torque converter, which I don't have a sticker for, is also Australian. Have a Davies Craig electric water pump in it, which is another Australian company. So yeah, we well and truly, also local company, also rebuilt the transmission after it had the issue it had a little while ago. So really always trying to support and use as many Australian products as possible whenever we can. So yeah, support your local Aussie speed shop and your local Aussie manufacturers to try and keep the money in this country. Yeah, now in terms of what we've got next, so I'll probably start this thing and run it up to, give it a full heat cycle up to like 70 degrees and just play with a few things in that. I think I must have changed some setting too and had idle target at like 5.2 AFR, and it's probably just a bit hot at idle, so the car was heating up too much, which had, leading to elevated sort of EGTs and stuff, and probably put a bit too much heat in the oil and things like that. So, which isn't too bad during warm up, because helps you all get up to temp quicker and, evaporate off all the methanol and that. But yeah, I just played with that a bit to make sure I got a bit more fuel in there, so we can target more like about 4.9 and keep it a bit cooler while we're running up to the staging lanes and idling back to the pits and stuff. But overall, that's now done in terms of what needs to be done. Now I can get back to this, so won't be racing the RX-7 again until, like I said in that last video, until weather conditions are favourable, let's say. So we'll just watch and see. I know next Sunday, this Sunday at Heathcote's going to be 27 Next Sunday is going to be 34, so absolutely no chance we're racing today and Sunday or next Sunday, that's for sure. I can't really race. I saw a post that they were thinking of racing like a Friday night. I can't, I work a day job, so I work a normal 9 to 5 sort of Monday to Friday job, so there's no chance I can get out there to race on a Friday night, unfortunately, but just keep on looking to see if the guys have a Saturday night one or something would be killer. What I've got to do now on this thing is I'm trying to still do some of the body stuff and keep along, but I probably want to pull the engine out shortly and put in like the Dominator Motorsports Australia catalogue in that thing with the new gaskets, reseal it up, the big ends and main bearings, head studs, valve springs, all that stuff, so the engine's done. And then, and then probably talk to the engineer on what needs to happen now from a point of view of, they said you're not allowed to paint the car or do anything. They want to see the raw welds. Well, it's basically almost at that point where everything I want to do to it's done. I'm going to make a strut brace to go across from the two main strut towers and make another brace across the front here. And that's about it. So need to talk to the engineer to work out what needs to happen from here so they can give the ongoing sort of tick of approval and I can move on with the thing and, start putting the whole thing, in epoxy or whatever and moving forward, because even as like a ratty rod like this thing, I'd like to see it moving and running at some point to build the enthusiasm back up around the project, because sometimes you can get a run on, you get heaps of stuff done, and then sometimes it can just, it comes with one little roadblock and you can slow down a bit. So I need something to remotivate me to keep on pushing here at the moment with this to make some kind of sizable gains and that. So the HVAC sort of thing just threw a spanner in the works, which is why I've sort of abandoned it for now, because I was just going around in circles. I don't really have time to get to pick apart on that on the weekends at the moment. So we'll get back on that when we can, but might see if we can get some of the wiring in there and mechanical stuff and even drive this thing. Need to go down the GJ drive lines and get a tail shaft for it as well. So get all that done and then we'll get on the road with this and that'll be killer. Even if it looks like that, we'll see if we can get it registered. Why not? Oh well. All right. Thanks for watching and hopefully see you at the racetrack again with the RX-7 shortly.